Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our journey to DU. Congratulations. My name is Derek DeBose, and I have the privilege of serving as your Associate Vice Chancellor and Director of Admission here at the University of Denver. Now, as I virtually stand before you today, I stand in awe. You represent some of the most accomplished and very competitive, the most competitive class in the history of Denver. You are projected valedictorians. You've excelled in the performing and visual arts. You are state champions. You are civic leaders. And today, well, today you are a part of the DU family. You represent some of the most brilliant minds from all over the world. And if we were here together, I would ask for you all to stand with me and to simply give each other a round of applause. Now, feel free to do this at home or wherever your day may find you. Let's give our students a round of applause today. Woo! And while we are together, and if we were here in person, for our students, while we are applauding, I would ask for you to applaud the folks that have helped to get you to this point today, your parents, your loved ones. Before the day's end, whether it be a parent, loved one, mentor, or friend that has helped or encouraged you along the way, I hope that you will reach out to them and say thank you. Thank them for the sacrifice that was made and support that has allowed each of us to thrive and find success. My friends, congratulations are truly in order. This is a very accomplished class from all over the globe, with more than 23,000 students that have applied for admission. And guess what? You are a part of a select group to be offered early admission into DU. And I won't say that you are lucky, because we as the DU family are the lucky ones to be a part of your journey for the next 4 years, and long after you graduate from this university, we'll be there with you. My friends, we want you. We are so glad you're here, and it's finally a delight to meet you, virtually that is. So what exactly is the purpose of Journey to DU? Well, my friends, it is twofold. One, to celebrate and find the right fit, and two, to explore. Now, how many of us are having a wonderful high school experience right now? It's okay. And I know it's been a rough year for so many of us, but I truly hope that you are. But I'm also going to let you in on one little secret today. College is so much better. You know, it's not just about getting into a world-class university in high school. This is not the end. This is just the beginning. My friends, I have been here for only a short period of time and can truly affirm that this is an amazing place. This is an intellectual community, 24 hours a day. This campus is booming with energy, talent, and new ideas. And those ideas are not confined behind the campus gate. Look beyond our campus borders, right here in the city of Denver. It is a great city that is global, thriving, and has endless opportunities to foster career development, find internships, and to what I believe serves as the gateway of the Rocky Mountain region and all points west. We are a vibrant campus, and as most of you know, DU is a place where we are all consistently working to provide the best facilities for our students. Now, if you were physically with us today, I would encourage you to look around, and you would notice the most beautifully designed college campus in the country. Some of our new projects include the Burwell Center for Career Achievement, the Damone Family Residential Village, and the fabulous Community Commons, which has become a hub for the student experience. As you can see, there's a great deal going on at DU, and just like you, much for us to celebrate. We are spirited. Now, I was a former college cheerleader, and I could not forgive myself if I did not take the opportunity to introduce you to our affectionate call and response. We are DU, which stands for more than a term of endearment. It is a statement that bonds us together. And wherever you are during your time on campus, or years after you graduate and find your own path, we will always be connected. My friends, we are DU. Our campus is fun. And what is truly important, this is your campus. This is your home. With our session today, I'll spend some time behind the scenes facilitating questions for our panelists. While your mics have been muted, we invite you to find the Q&A box that is featured at the bottom of your screen. And for some of us with different mobile capabilities, it may be at the top of your screen, where I'll take the opportunity to connect you with our panelists. I also invite you to keep an eye on the chat box, where members of our team will be sharing helpful links to assist you in making the most of your journey to DU. With that, I am honored to introduce an outstanding panel, including our Chancellor, Provost, and members of the university leadership, who are here to answer your questions and to help make the most of your journey. Our leader, Dr. Haefner, brings to DU over 3 decades of higher education experience, serving as a phenomenal leader and mentor to our campus community, while championing student-centered outcomes and the 4-dimensional student that you will hear a little bit more about today. He is a triathlete, and I must say, he rocks the flyest kicks on campus with his Converse Chuck Taylor All-Stars. Friends, please join me in welcoming the Chancellor of the University of Denver, Dr. Haefner.
Well, thank you, Derek, for that wonderful cheerleading infused, enthusiastic introduction, and of course for the music that got us all kind of geared up for this. And welcome to our students, welcome to the parents. We are so pleased you're joining us this morning. We're so pleased that you're so interested in the University of Denver, and congratulations on being admitted, because we do take pride in the rigor of the students that we bring to the University of Denver. Like Derek, I wish we could all do this in person. It is so much fun to see our auditoriums filled up with parents and students on this Journey to DU Day. But I am also very confident that what you're going to learn in today's session via the Zoom technology will be extraordinarily informative, and I hope also inspiring for you to think about the University of Denver. I myself am a parent, and I know how exciting and how emotional this time can be. And so these informative sessions are critical to help answer those key questions that you are harboring in so many different ways. We're happy to answer these questions. And we do have a great collection of panelists, good colleagues of mine that are leading this university to just absolute greatness. What I'd like to do in just a few short minutes is talk about something that I think is exciting for the students and the parents to consider about the University of Denver. You know, we have been known for our residential student experience. The campus, as Derek mentioned, is stunning, located in the middle of a stimulating city nestled by the Rocky Mountain region. And we know that our students during this time of pandemic missed being on campus. But for the past year, fall quarter, now winter quarter, and spring quarter, we have welcomed back so many of our students for a variety of experiences and, of course, terrific education in our classrooms. We know that this is our niche, but we also know that experience is going to be incredibly more important for students to think about and learn from. So we're literally reinventing the student experience at the University of Denver. And I'd like to just share a little bit about what we've done already, what we're working on right now, and what the future holds. I think you'll be excited. Derek already mentioned 3 components that I'm excited about. Number 1 is the Denver Advantage, and I'll talk a little bit about that in just a second. Number 2 is the 4-dimensional student experience, kind of the anchor of the programming that we'll implement. And then finally, number 3 is kind of a top secret project, and I just simply wanted to tease you with it, but it is out there, and I'm so excited that we're working towards that end. Let me talk a little bit about those Denver Advantage buildings. Derek mentioned there are 3 of them. There's the Damone Family Residential Village, there's the Burwell Center for Career Achievement, and there's the brand new Community Commons, our student center that brings us into modern times, if you will, and really enables those kinds of connections. So those 3 buildings are all about the student experience. They're about community in the Damone Family Residential Village. They're about connections in the Burwell Center for Career Achievement. and they're about collaboration in the community commons. All of our dining, for example, is located in the community commons. So students from all over, undergraduate students, graduate students, faculty, staff, community members are coming into the community commons for that bite to eat and also to socialize. Socially distanced, of course, but it's the area, it's the nexus of the social connections for the University of Denver. This, together with our beautiful Anderson Academic Commons, which is where our library is and sort of the intellectual nexus of the campus, offers students these wonderful opportunities to connect, to build community, and to collaborate. But what about this four-dimensional student experience and this reinvention that we're talking? 4 dimensions: advancing intellectual growth, pursuing careers and lives of purpose, promoting well-being, and exploring character. Let me just start a little bit with that first one, that advancing intellectual growth, which is what the University of Denver has been known on. At the gem of that crown is our incredibly low student to faculty ratio, 12-to-1. What that means, those are just numbers, but what that really means is that students and faculty have over time built an incredible relationship. And I know that my colleagues on the panel will join me in saying that they're always impressed when students talk about the most powerful part of the University of Denver is that connection to the faculty member. And they make it on day one because we offer this phenomenal first year seminar that every first year student gets exposed to. And I'm sure you'll learn more about that. But the faculty bring their passion to the classroom, and that excites and inspires students in a way that lasts them for their time at the University of Denver. Our quarter system enables students to have lots more choices for courses, a third more choices for courses. And that's powerful because that way they can explore different disciplines. They can have multiple majors and minors, many of which our students do. In fact, 84% of our students graduate with more than 1 degree. It's a phenomenal characteristic of this university. And we call those students, we call those purple squirrels, because out there in the real world, purple squirrels are rare and employers want to hire them. We know that we engage our students with experiential learning. That's the hallmark of the university, both inside the classroom and outside the classroom. And we strongly encourage diversity of thought, the value of ethics, and of course, the value of respect on our campus. The second dimension is pursuing careers and lives of purpose. We're incredibly proud of the fact that 90% of our 2019 class ended up being employed within 6 months of graduation. But more importantly, 84% of them report that they were either satisfied or highly satisfied with their placement in employment on their first job. And that's a phenomenal best-in-class kind of statistics for everyone. 77.5% of our students, 77% of our students go on study abroad. I know many of you have already expressed deep interest in our study abroad program. It is our hallmark in many ways, and we're so proud of that. And of course, in the pandemic, everyone had to curtail a lot of their experiences that way, but we are so looking forward to the fall where our online and our study abroad will once again be fully activated. Our approach to career is really a 4-year model, very unique in higher education. We start the moment students step on campus. Our faculty are deeply engaged in helping students mentor around career, and our new Burwell Center for Career Achievement will be the nexus where students, employers, and alums can all aggregate, all in the benefit of the career of our students. The third dimension is promoting well-being of our students, because we know how important that those skill sets are for the long-term success of our students once they graduate. These dimensions really are about adding the additional kind of life skills that students need beyond the classroom, but really making sure that they have a good foundation as they graduate from the University of Denver. So promoting well-being, promoting social well-being, emotional well-being, physical well-being, spiritual well-being, and of course, financial well-being are pieces of what we are developing programming around. We are, of course, blessed by living in the city of Denver, where there's exciting things to do to create the foundations for that well-being. Our students are engaged working in corporations through internships, but they're also working with nonprofits to really have that community involvement, if you will. Of course, we're located in the beautiful Rocky Mountain region, and the proximity to the mountains is a phenomenal asset that we offer our students as well. The fourth and final dimension is really about exploring character. We know that in this day and age, character matters so much, and we want our students to understand what the richness of character exploration really brings. For us, it will mean a deep dive into ethics. We've been known for our ethics curriculum, especially in the Daniels College of Business, but we will be bringing a wider university emphasis on ethics so that students have a deep understanding of the role that they play in our society and bringing ethical leadership to the forefront. In this environment, we also know that civil discourse is incredibly important, especially as our country struggles with the divide that it has. So helping to understand the importance of differences and listening to people that you may disagree with, but still having that deep understanding of their point of view is critical to the development of our students here at the University of Denver. And finally, as I mentioned earlier, the notion of respect is critically important for us. We want all our students to come to the campus with a deep set of skills of respecting every other individual that is on our campus. And we will help students appreciate that over time. All of these dimensions, intellectual growth, well-being, career, and character, are all designed for students to go on and have these lives of purpose, to really serve the public good, which this university is phenomenally known for. We're excited to bring the four-dimensional programming together with the Denver Advantage buildings that you heard about earlier. And as I mentioned, there's a third component, Project MC, we call it, which I think will be really exciting, and I am hopeful that will come to fruition on that. So stay tuned for more information on that. I can't tell you how excited I am about leading this university. There are wonderful people here. You're going to meet some other of my colleagues in just a few moments. But where this university is headed, with its emphasis on student experience, is exactly what I believe higher education needs to deliver, so that we are sure of a great generation of leaders, people who will serve our communities and serve the public good. So thank you again for joining us for today's session. And now it's my absolute delight to introduce our new provost, Mary Clark, who is a phenomenal colleague helping all of us lead this university forward. Mary?
Thank you, and good morning, and congratulations one and all on your admission. I look forward to meeting you, and I hope you'll have a chance to visit the campus before you join us in September. It's a gorgeous campus, still getting used to the fact that it's sunny each and every day in Denver, so it's really quite delightful. You may be wondering what a provost is, and I'm happy to shed some light there. I'm the Chief Academic Officer at DU, which means that I work very closely with all of our vice provosts for academic affairs, of whom you will meet one, Jennifer Karras, this morning, and also all of our deans. So we have 11 deans of our schools and colleges, and we work closely to ensure the excellence of the academic program that you will be enjoying here at DU. Wanted to start by highlighting the 100 major programs of study that you can benefit from here at DU. You may already know what it is that you'd like to study, and that's great, or you may not know, and that's great too, because I am a huge advocate of taking advantage of your college experience to experiment, to expose yourselves to programs of study that you have not been exposed to before. You may not have had opportunities previously to study the ethics that the Chancellor has spoken of, or finance or anthropology or what have you. And college is that time to experiment. So I hope you'll take advantage of that. In your journey through DU, you will have a faculty mentor. And indeed, in your very first year through the first year seminar, you will have a faculty mentor who will serve as your guide. This week, we just celebrated our faculty mentors, faculty career mentors in particular. On Wednesday of this week, we had a very moving program in which students nominated faculty for recognition, and I had the pleasure of reading some of these nomination letters. Students spoke of just the central role that their faculty mentors had played in both their intellectual and personal lives, helped guide them on their journey in very significant ways. So I was delighted to be part of that ceremony. The Chancellor noted that I am new here to DU. I began in July. And I thought I might close my remarks by highlighting the three things that had attracted me most to DU, and I hope they are the same for you. First and foremost is the university's commitment to the public good. This is something that resonates deeply with my own background and was very evident as I was interviewing for this role and onboarding. And then in the 6 months that I've been here, it is characteristic of all of our faculty, staff, and students' commitments. There is an overarching public good that really serves as the North Star for our work. The second thing that attracted me was the joy of engagement that I discerned between faculty and students. Again, when I was interviewing for the role, I was given one question to ask. So I asked what folks had loved most about their experiences at DU. And the student on the interview panel said immediately that it was her relationships with faculty members, that they had served as mentors and guides and counselors for her and engaged her both in the classroom and outside with research and otherwise. And then she was immediately followed by the faculty on the panel who said that, yes, their engagement with students was the most deeply satisfying element of their experiences here at DU. That palpable sense of joy that I discerned in the interview has very much borne fruit since I've been here, and it is what called me to teaching and to academia. So I'm so pleased to see that so deeply embedded here in our DU culture. And then the third thing that attracted me to DU, and I imagine it will for you as well, is the dynamism of the DU community and also the broader Denver community. The DU community is a very ambitious and aspirational community. We are developing new academic programs substantially in areas of STEM, allied health sciences, also critical race and ethnic studies. And so I think you'll find it a very dynamic environment. Likewise, so the Denver region. Each weekend typically finds me out hiking. It's a beautiful setting in which to live, and I know that you will enjoy it deeply. So again, thank you for joining us this morning. Congratulations and welcome. And now it is my deep pleasure to introduce my colleague, Jennifer Karras, who's Vice Provost for Academic Affairs. So over to you, Jennifer.
Thank you so much, Provost Clark. Before I start with a little bit of an explanation of what it is that I do and the passions that I have here at DU, first let me say that I also am a parent of college-age students. So I know that the last year for you has been a tough one, right? So having, moving from your junior to your senior years in a remote fashion in high school, how challenging that has been. And really looking right now and looking ahead at this experience to come to college is so welcoming right now, just to think of the possibilities that will begin to open up for us as a society again, as we are able to return again to in-person learning. So thank you all for being here. So as Provost Clark said, I am the Vice Provost for Academic Affairs. And if our academic hierarchy is confusing to you all, we have a chancellor and a provost, that I can understand that not even understanding what a provost does, that a vice provost job must be equally baffling. But let me just say that I'm able to work with a provost to advance those rigorous and relevant curricula that she's mentioned, whether that is some of our new programs, as she mentioned, in critical race and ethnic studies, or in physiology, or in sports science, or really maintaining our curriculum, our standard curriculum and offering the right kinds of courses that you all need to prepare for those lives of purpose. And that we make sure that we're able to allow students to combine their curricula in really truly fascinating ways, to have a major in physics and a minor in music, to major in business and to minor in French and in art, right? That there are really beautiful combinations that only you as students are going to be able to come up with. In addition to that curricular work, I'm also really fortunate to have a wide portfolio of what we call high impact practices here at the University of Denver. So there's several programs that many of you will take part in, whether that's our writing program, our honors program, our pioneer leadership program, our living and learning centers, our Center for Community Engagement to Advance Scholarship and Learning. That's our Community Engaged and Service Learning Center, undergraduate research, and the first year seminar program and the advanced seminar program, the two bookends of our general education program. In addition to that, I also manage our student success office, and that really is comprised of our academic advising office and our registrar's office. So how do you figuring out how you need to get to the courses that you desire, what are the right ways for you to combine your curricula into a coherent and an exciting curriculum, and also how do we put you into those actual classes. So I'm happy to answer some questions. I see there's some already populating in the Q&A about that specific advising and registration process as soon as we get a little bit more into the program. But I really would love to introduce my next colleague, who is our Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs, also new to the community and somebody I really enjoy partnering with as well. And so that is Todd Adams. Todd, can you take it from here?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jennifer, and welcome everybody. We're so glad to be with you this morning. As we kicked off, I know Derek is sitting here in the background, but I've decided that I need a little bit of Derek every day to get myself going. That is perhaps the best way to start each day. So thank you, Derek, for having me and for having all of us. I'm excited to join you today, and as the Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs, I think, and with all due respect to my colleagues, feel like I have the best job on campus. And that is because I situate in between where students are in their experiences, their activities, in their day-to-day lives, and help them navigate the university across academic, across the various places that they will land co-curricularly, and in all the ways that they wish to engage and make DU their home. My colleagues and I in Student Affairs and Inclusive Excellence work in 22 different areas or units or departments to support a vibrant or robust, engaged student experience. And I want to talk about maybe 3 places that we do that, where you might intersect with us on a day-to-day basis. The first is really in the co-curricular realm. DU is really known for a rich student and experience in places where students will get engaged outside of the classroom or the conventional lab environments where they can practically apply a number of things that they're learning each and every day. We have about 150 clubs and organizations registered currently. They range from culinary to club sports, from campus affinity groups and cultural associations to student governance. And if we don't have the group that you're interested in, it is okay and even encouraged to begin it. So it is a place that students get together with others across different academic pursuits and backgrounds to do something that invites their interests and their passions into their lives. It's not a requirement that students do it, but I can tell you the vast majority are participating in one, if not more, student clubs or organizations. The second place, and the Chancellor mentioned this, but we have a residential community, and generally the first 2 years of a student's undergraduate experience you're going to live on campus. And we think that's instrumental to how a student will learn to navigate the university, will build community, and again, across the different vectors that they will be academically, socially, and co-curricularly, and where they're going to engage. And for us, it's a place where they're going to live and play, and how they really help make DU home for themselves. We have some newer facilities that have brought new energy, engagement centers, and invite faculty and staff, advisors, if you will, into the space with them. So it really makes a more seamless kind of experience for us. I think the other piece about living on campus, and there are a lot of data about this nationally, but particularly at DU, it gives quick access to so many important resources and services that we have, whether it's academic advising, career planning and exploration, whether that's to the new university commons, that community commons that the chancellor mentioned, where we have between 55 and 60 staff and faculty who each and every day are working directly with students as they plan their academic schedules, as they think about studying abroad, as they engage in cultural or student engagement kinds of experiences. It is home for that, along with all the dining that we have, and student-run businesses that make up so much of how that space kind of emerges and grows. And the last place is around our students' experience and the opportunities they have in making DU home to work here. We have hundreds of students that are learning on campus each and every day. That experiential learning doesn't just happen in the classroom or through labs and undergraduate research. It does there. And we have students that are serving as resident advisors. We have students that are running sustained facilitated dialogues in our cultural centers. We have students that are managing the community commons. We have almost 20 students that each and every day are helping with programs and events and setup and managing the welcome desk. And they have really made that center their own. And it is so important as students make this place their own that engagement happens, where we're inviting the student voice into shaping this place. And to piggyback on something that Provost Clark offered, and given that, as Jennifer said, I'm relatively new, the thing that I particularly appreciate about DU is its boundless ambition. And it is a place that we invite you to join in that, to help us shape it. You know, knowledge in service to society. We talk about the public good, but to have you come in and help us figure out how we harness that ambition towards something, and knowledge in service to what and for whom. And you get to be a driver in that. And we invite you to join us here today. I'm going to turn it back over to Derek, and he's going to help us facilitate the next part of the program. But let me close by saying welcome, thank you, and congratulations. And we look forward to meeting you soon.
Wonderful. And thank you again, Todd, and to all of our panelists. Thank you so much for being here today and making this such a special day for our admitted students. So let's just jump in to some of these wonderful questions that we have already received. And for our students and family members and loved ones who have not, that do have a question but have not had a chance to input it, again, please feel free to use that Q&A feature. We look forward to assisting you in answering your questions today. So the first question I'm gonna kick us off with today is gonna go to Dr. Karras. The question here comes from a student. And for our students who have committed, at what point are they matched with an academic advisor? Would a student have the ability to meet with their advisor via Zoom, phone, or to discuss class selections prior to enrollment?
I love that question, because that just lets me know how excited you are to start thinking about the courses that you'll be taking. So the way it will work is that students register for their first year seminar along with their regular classes. So it's something that you'll register all the way together for. Prior to that, prior to creating your schedule, students are offered all kinds of opportunities to meet with a staff academic advisor to try to put together the best possible schedule for their interests or for their exploration, I think that one of the things the theme of today's is a yes and. When I heard Todd talking about it, is that where does learning take place? In the classroom? Yes. and in the residence hall, yes, and on the playing fields. So you'll be thinking about different kinds of schedules, and you can work with a staff academic advisor. You can take a webinar, you can schedule a one-on-one Zoom meeting, you can call. There are all kinds of videos that we use to engage you that way. Whichever way works for you to help to put together your schedule, we're there for you. Once you've gotten that schedule, you will be in a first-year seminar. And remember, these are these very small classes that our faculty, our full-time faculty, teach to their passion. So this is not, a seminar on an introduction to college learning. It will be a seminar, I'm trying to think of a few, on food chemistry or on capital punishment or on aquatic life. It's really faculty thinking about what kind of course would they love to teach that doesn't necessarily fit into the major, right? This is just something that we want students to take that will excite their learning. And once they are in that class, those faculty members will reach out to students over the summer to talk about any kinds of questions that they might have in their mind. Frequently, what we see is that students register for their classes and then all of a sudden start thinking about what are all of the other possibilities they could be doing. So they can bounce those off with their first year seminar faculty members. They can talk about what it would be like to live in the dorms, what kinds of opportunities for research exist on campus. So I guess just to summarize, there's advising that will happen before you register for the classes. And then once you are in those classes, you can work with that faculty member over the summer. And then once you are here on campus, you will be meeting with that faculty member in that first year seminar class twice a week. So you have many opportunities both to engage in that class content, but also to work with your very first faculty mentor. I hope that helps.
That was wonderful. Thank you. I'm going to direct this next question to Chancellor Haefner here, because I think this is a very popular question given what's going on in the world right now, and students and families are always concerned about what this looks like for us. So the student has asked, we are not from Colorado. Can you elaborate how the fall looks in regards to COVID restrictions? Will students be required to be vaccinated prior to arriving? Are faculty getting vaccinated? Is there confidence students will be back in person learning this fall?
Thank you, Derek, and I'll be happy to answer that question. And I can imagine that it's on the minds of just about everyone at this point in time. You know, I am so proud of this university, of how it stepped up and met the coronavirus challenge head on. Of course, back in the spring of 2020, we went online with everyone else, but we quickly started planning on how we expected to be open in the fall. So many of our faculty and staff and even students were engaged in planning around what it would take to safely open up the campus. And I want to emphasize the safely, because of all the principles that we consider in running this university, it is the health and safety of our faculty, staff, and especially the students that is first and foremost for us. And that has driven all of our decisions around this. We expect to be fully open in the fall. There will, of course, be probably still some kind of protocols and restrictions. We expect that there will be some testing that will continue, but we also expect a robust collection of experiences that are what describe college life, particularly at the University of Denver moving forward. We have, and as we go through winter quarter and spring quarter, instituted aggressive testing so that we can manage and contain the coronavirus. We use 3 different types of tests on this campus. We use the traditional nasal PCR test, which of course is a bit intrusive, but important because that is the gold standard for identifying the coronavirus. We have now deployed a very successful and effective saliva test, and it has demonstrated tremendous concurrence with the nasal PCR test. This is less intrusive, and we are asking students to use the saliva test together with the nasal test on a frequent basis. Many of our students are being tested once or even twice a week. And that has really helped us to track where the virus is and keep incredibly low numbers of infection right now. We are currently enjoying under 1% of positivity rate for those of you who are tracking that. And that is an incredible success of this university as well. We also use other techniques. The third test, by the way, is called an antigen test. Our student athletes use that one as required by NCAA as well. We use other techniques such as monitoring the wastewater, and those all give us an early warning kind of signal for where the coronavirus is. We do expect right now that our students and faculty and staff are wearing masks, that they do daily symptom monitoring checks using our app that helps us track the well-being of our campus community. And of course, we are implementing social distancing as well as encouraging personal hygiene to keep the coronavirus. I think from a student experience, and of course, I welcome Provost Clark and Jennifer Karras, Vice Provost Jennifer Karras, to elaborate on that, and Vice Chancellor Adams as well. But we are offering a series of modalities for students. I expect that more face-to-face experiences will be offered in the fall. And I'm hopeful that all students, undergraduate students especially, have that interaction in a face-to-face manner with our faculty that has become such a hallmark for this university. We're going to be utilizing the brand new buildings to help activate our student experiences. And as I mentioned, we'll be doing lots of programming around the four-dimensional experience as we build that program up. So I am very upbeat about how we will open up in the fall. It's hard to say, will it be the normal experience? It will be a far more experiential experience, if you will. And I'm so looking forward to that. But let me ask to see if Mary or Todd or Jennifer would like to add on to that.
Sure, I'm glad to. And so we certainly expect as we move towards the fall and as the vaccine rolls out, that we'll have a substantial presence of face-to-face instruction on campus. That's what Jennifer and I are working towards. Right now, there are three modalities of instruction. One is face-to-face. One is what we call high flex. That combines face-to-face with online, with students who are learning remotely. And then the third is online instruction. In the fall, approximately 65% of our coursework for undergrads had a face-to-face component, slightly less in the winter quarter, and then we expect it to build up again in the spring quarter. So just want to give you a sense of what the modalities are now. For the fall, we are certainly looking towards face-to-face and also with the various precautions the Chancellor has noted, the masking, physical distancing, and regular COVID hygiene. So thank you for that question.
The only possible thing that I would add is that on Wednesday, I was in an all-campus faculty meeting, and just like our students, our faculty are really longing to be back face-to-face with the students. Really, I mean, that is why they came to a place like the University of Denver to not only do their research and to be outstanding in that field, but to have that connection in the classroom that is essential to who we are here at DU. So our faculty are really very much longing to do that, and we'll be doing that again in the spring quarter.
And there were questions around the vaccination. So, this is an evolving, of course, environment that we find ourselves in on the vaccination. It is incredibly important that we curtail the coronavirus with the vaccinations that have been developed. And of course, the announcement today that there will likely be a third one being offered across the country is very exciting news for us. The university has been deeply engaged in planning around how it might serve our campus community as a vaccination distribution site, should that become a possibility for us. We have, of course, started some vaccinations of those who are really first responders to us. For example, the staff in our health and counseling center have been enabled to be vaccinated as part of the state of Colorado's set of priorities on that. And we are following, of course, those protocols very, very carefully. We do hope that our faculty and staff that are on campus for the winter quarter will have an opportunity to be vaccinated. soon before the winter quarter ends. That is, of course, contingent on supply availability and the governor's priorities around all that. We have a partner that we were working with throughout the COVID response. It's National Jewish Health, the nation's #1 respiratory health provider. And National Jewish has been instrumental in helping us test for the coronavirus, and of course, giving us so much wonderful advice. They will likely be a partner with us as we look at distributing the vaccine, should that become a possibility for us. We will also serve our community as part of our vision to support the public good as well. So there will be more information about that as we see the distribution of the vaccine become more readily available. And in terms of requiring this, I think it is premature for us to state whether or not a vaccine will be required. We're certainly going to strongly encourage it at this university at this point in time. And of course, if it is required at some point down the road, we will always make sure that there are adequate exception policies enabling students and families to utilize that kind of waiver approach as well. But right now, we're excited that the vaccine is going to become available to across our country, and we're so proud of not only the scientists that have made it possible, but the workers who are now distributing it. It is critical to the health and safety of our campus, to our country as a whole. So thanks for asking that question.
Thank you all for that. This question goes to Dr. Adams here. There's so much, of course, for a lot of students and families when they're transitioning to a college campus, they want to know about campus safety. What are some of the efforts that we're doing to keep our students safe here at DU?
Thanks, Derek. That's a wonderful question. The first place that it starts is, I think, that we're a community of care, and that as we come in, we orient ourselves to the campus itself. And we do that whether we're staff, faculty, or students. And in particular, we have a Department of Campus Safety that is located at the university that works with us, as well as with Denver Police Department and other agencies, to ensure the campus itself and really the adjacent neighborhoods are safe. We use a kind of a multi-pronged approach. We have lighting, we have 24/7 desk coverage at our residential facilities. We have a way in which you can get in touch if you're on campus with campus safety at any given time, even as you're navigating across the campus. So there are just sort of a variety of mechanisms that we're using each and every day. I will also say that as we come in, and I mentioned some of the training at new student orientation, we'll spend an awful lot of time talking about becoming a member of the community. And that includes looking out for yourselves as well as taking care of each other. So things that help make a safe environment. Those are aspects of campus life and student experience that we cover as you come into the community and as you learn to sort of navigate the space.
Thank you for that. This question goes to Provost Clark, and of course, a lot of times students and families they're not always as familiar with the difference between the quarter and the semester system. Could you give voice a little bit to some of the advantages, but also some disadvantages that come with the quarter system?
Sure, I'm glad to. And I myself am immersed in the quarter system for the first time in my professional life. I'll also note, as several of the panelists did, that I'm the proud parent of new college students, twins, who just started this fall, one in a quarter system, one in a semester system, which is why I mention it. The quarter system, as the Chancellor noted, gives students that many more opportunities to learn and to explore and to experiment. So my son, who's in a quarter system, has already had 8 courses, while my son in the semester system has just completed 4 in a special January term. So you have a lot more exposure to courses and again, to that experimentation and exploration. I would not be candid with you if I didn't say it's pretty intense to have a 10-week quarter system. So it is one in which you kick off the quarter and pretty soon you start having papers or midterms, and then you conclude the quarter within the 10-week time period. You get to know that many more faculty. I spoke earlier of the faculty mentors and faculty mentoring around careers and professional personal interests. You get that much more exposure, and I think that is so beneficial for our students. That was, for me, one of the single greatest meaningful aspects of college was to get to know faculty and faculty mentors. So again, in the quarter system, you'll have that many more opportunities. So those are some of the advantages, disadvantages that I'd flag for you in the quarter system. Thank you for that question.
You know what I'd love to add, normally this presentation is a really delightful conversation where we're able to play off each other's comments. And so it does, Zoom kind of flattens that a tiny bit. One of the things I'd love to add to Provost Clark's answer is that the quarter system also allows for different kinds of study or experiences in those interterm spaces, the spaces between terms. So normally the fall quarter ends before Thanksgiving, and we don't start again until the beginning of the new year. So that is a 6-week term where lots of students will engage in internship practices, either paid or non-paid, or they'll get a job, or they'll take some classes. We have classes that are on campus. We have classes that are taught online. We have travel classes, whether that is domestic or abroad. We have a lovely leadership class that's taught in Belize. We've done classes in South Africa. There are many, many different kinds of things that happen in those interterm spaces. Our spring, the space between winter and spring is shorter, usually about a week. This year it's about 10 days. Also offering some different kinds of experiences for students. Again, whether that is purely recreational, or if it is, again, in that academic piece, or fitting in a different kind of elective that students just would like to play around with, that kind of intellectual engagement. And of course, we have the summer term as well, as all other universities do. But just wanting to remind you that the quarter system does allow for different kinds of experiences in between the terms as well.
And if I might just offer another piece to this, which is really, I think, synthesizing a lot of what Jennifer just offered and Mary provided as well, it really increases the flexibility that we have to deliver a variety of programs, some of which are academic, some of which are experiential, a good number co-curricularly. And when I said that students engage in a club or an organization, or they get involved on campus, particularly in their first year, and quite frankly, well into perhaps their second year with us, they're going to try different things. And the quarters allow for a quarter of sort of engagement and participation in a way that you can then say, maybe I want to pivot to something else. And in a semester calendar, it might be a little more challenging to do that. So the flexibility and the time periods give us an opportunity to allow for that experimentation that the first year and really even beyond throughout the student's undergraduate career can be quite valuable.
Thank you. And everyone feel free to chime in on this one, because we do so much to support our students that come from underrepresented communities here at the University of Denver. Would any of you like to shed some light on some of the programs and student groups that we have on campus to support our students of color here at DU?
Certainly, I can start, and I would love all of my colleagues to jump in as well. We have, as I mentioned, about 150 student clubs and organizations. A significant percentage of those fall into what I would call a cultural or an affinity group space. So groups of students who have come together around a connection with their religion, with their background or identity, intersectionality of identity, and ways in which they engage in that in the academic realm, but also, quite frankly, as members of the community. We have a number of our alumni that are engaged in alumni mentorship programs that connect with those groups. And the other piece that I would offer is, while we might have clubs and organizations that are really student run, or there's some form of student governance, importantly, we have centers, the Cultural Center, for instance, that runs a number of programs, our Access and Transitions, that has First Gen U, One Gen U on campus for our incoming first generation students. I would also offer that our inclusion and equity education that promotes dialogue and works with Office Teaching and Learning and others to bring that into space, not just classroom, but across the university. And our students serve as facilitators or co-facilitators there. So there are a number of ways we do this. And when the Chancellor mentioned the Community Commons and Denver Advantage projects, another piece that has become very important to us and is a highlight is centering all of our groups, and in particular, some of our groups that have been from underrepresented populations in the Commons. So we have the Cultural Center, we have our Student Veterans Association, our what we call Joint Council, which is a grouping of 16 affinity groups of our undergraduates, our Graduate and Professional Student Lounge, which is bringing in also culturally based groups from across the graduate programs as well as the professional schools. So all of those are now centered in the Community Commons, which creates this opportunity for intellectual and cultural collisions. And that has been so meaningful just in the last, we're really about 3 weeks into having the Community Commons in its open form. So, but I open that up also to my colleagues.
Sure, I'll just quickly add, as Chief Academic Officer, one of my first priorities is ensuring that we have a diverse faculty and diverse curriculum in order to support our students, match our students' interests. Likewise, in terms of a campus climate that promotes the sense of belonging, well-being, sense of value that all of our community members have, so students, staff, and faculty. So I want to underscore those commitments of my office.
And I'll just simply add on to this that and Todd, you can address this too as well. We do have our wonderful honor code for our students, and the values of respect, of integrity, and you helped me with the last one there, Todd. Please chime in there on that.
Yeah, so we have an honor code, and we're fortunate as a university to have an honor code where we talk about respect as a value, that we lift up inclusion as a value and create equitable communities. And as we bring students in, and I mentioned this as we were just talking about a number of different ways that you acclimate and orient, we will spend time not just through first year seminars on the academic front, but in the residential communities, talking about development and bringing students into developing inclusive communities. And our convocation, which is something we're proud of, actually lifts those values up, and we begin to start promoting them in practice. And it shows up in a whole host of spaces, whether it's where the students' jobs are, whether it's in the ways in which we gather for dining, if it's in the programs that we're offering. And right now we're in the middle of a 7-week diversity summit. We're in our 20th year offering that at the university, sponsored by our Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, but bringing in a number of key folk from outside the university, civic and community leaders, as well as faculty who have done research and bring the acumen and expertise to that space, as well as a number of those advisors that create the critical connections and mentorship and support as students go through their undergraduate experience.
No, thank you all so much for that. I'm going to try to squeeze in one last question here. I know time flies by when we're having such a great time and a wonderful conversation here. But this one is, I would like to direct it to the Chancellor here. Of course, as we know, we are living in a more divided country. How will you allow students' voices on both sides of the political divide a space and voice to articulate their feelings without the thoughts of being canceled?
That's a great question, and I'm glad that we're putting that one out there. The University of Denver is a free speech university, which means, of course, we're grounded in the tenets of free speech. That, however, does not mean that we support speech that actually leads to and incites violence. And those are unprotected forms of speech as well. But we also know that in order to really have a robust environment around free speech, it requires speech itself. And so what we're embarking on is a very, I think, thoughtful, robust way of looking at civil discourse from the point of view of looking at both sides of the political spectrum or the ideologies that are out there. Our goal is not to get to agreement necessarily. Our goal is to get to the understanding of each of us and our different perspectives, an understanding of really what the other person may feel and their perspectives, when we know that they may differ from our own set of beliefs as well. This is hard in a time when our country is so divided, but we do have wonderful assets across our campus that really can serve in enabling us to achieve our civil discourse aspirations that we have. Our Corbell School of International Studies has a brand new public policy institute that is getting off the ground. It's called the Scrivener Institute for Public Policy, and it is dedicated to civil discourse and exploring some of the issues that our country, our society faces right now. I know that democracy, as we all have experienced, has been put to the test in recent days. And our ability to contribute to that dialogue about the fragility of democracy and the importance of democracy in our country is going to be a part of the ongoing programming that we provide here. And in core to that democracy is free speech and the civil discourse that we enable this. I know my provost here and I share deeply the values of both of these. And so I'm going to let Mary also chime in on her thoughts on this very important issue.
I'm delighted to, and I'll add a couple things. Todd Adams and I serve on a freedom of expression committee that is formed by faculty and students. And in that venue, we debate issues of free expression, where the lines might be. The line is clearly at incitement to violence. But short of that, we very strongly encourage robust expression for the reasons that the Chancellor has highlighted. It is in the higher ed setting that we can build our muscles to engage across difference. And as the Chancellor indicated, it's not about getting to yes, it's about learning why the other may think differently than you, getting insight into different backgrounds, different experiences, different perspectives, and to build that muscle so that when students graduate from DU, they are active citizens engaging in free expression, building a stronger polity. And so just to underscore what the Chancellor said, it is a central commitment of our university.
Thank you for that. And again, I would like to thank the Chancellor for hosting and initiating this conversation today. Before we go, I did want to, of course, ask if there's anything that you would like to add in conclusion, Dr. Haefner.
Well, again, I'll simply add my great gratitude on behalf of all of us here at the University of Denver for all of those who had joined us today, for your interest in the university, for applying to the university. We are so excited to welcome you as part of the family of the University of Denver, as Derek mentioned at the very beginning of this program. We take that notion that it is a family very, very seriously. Our students are central to this university, and you, I hope, took away how committed we are to ensuring their success, ensuring that their experience is one of great excellence, that the academics and the intellectual stimulation here is one of great pride that we put into the environment here at the university, and that the relationship between faculty and students is an exemplar for all of us here in higher education. We welcome, of course, further questions and hope that at some point in time you can visit campus, walk around the grounds, and get a feel for what the students and the faculty and the staff experience at the University of Denver. So I'll just simply close by, again, thanking everyone for joining us today, and welcome to the family of the University of Denver.